Now I want to talk a little bit more about Colt. In this time frame, or even before this time frame, did he ever express an interest in mass shootings or school shootings or the individuals who perpetrated those shootings?
He had.
Okay. Tell me about that.
He generally, I wouldn't call it an obsession. And at the time, I likened it to my own interest, I guess, in like true crime, serial killer type shows that are really popular. He never showed an interest in a way that led me to believe that he was idolizing anyone or wanting to follow in their footsteps or anything like that. It was just because typically what he would talk to me about would be like their home life or, you know, what their interests were. And this was all pretty much conversations that were had right there towards the end, like right before the shooting happened. We watched a lot of documentaries, him and I specifically. But there was no definite focus on just school shooter documentaries or anything like that.
These conversations that he would have, would they be out in the open?
Yeah.
Would the defendant ever be around for them?
I'm sure he was, yeah.
And you said that they started becoming more prevalent closer in time to the shooting?
Well, I won't say, I can't really say if they were more prevalent. It was just, you know, because I had not been there before. So I don't know how prevalent they were prior to that 5-week period that I was there.
And then, do you remember having a conversation with GBI agents kind of about his discussions about school shooters right after the shooting?
I remember being interviewed by the GBI. I can't remember exactly what all we talked about.
I completely understand. Do you remember, though, talking to them about Colt having developed or having discussed one particular shooter in recent months?
Nicholas Cruz.
Okay.
Was the one that I remembered that name specifically.
Did Colt ever make any references to wanting to look like a school shooter or to dress like one?
I don't remember him specifically saying anything that he wanted to look like them. I know he talked about their looks, but from what I remember, it was typically almost kind of like making fun of them or, you know, their crazy hair or whatever.
Okay. Kind of, do you remember in that same GBI interview talking about a specific discussion you had with him where he joked about completing his school shooter outfit?
I do. He was talking about a vest. His dad buying him a vest. And he said it in what I thought was a joking manner, because he was laughing, and I mean, I would never think that it would be anything other than a joke, but he said something, he was talking about getting the vest, and he said, yeah, I've got to finish my school shooter outfit or something like that. Or Dad's got to finish my school shooter outfit. And I think I said, like, that's not very funny, and of course, he was like, "Oh, it's fine. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around."
During this time frame, July to August of 2024, did he have an interest in firearms?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I know it was a shared interest that him and his dad, they would go to shooting ranges to practice, and they had gone deer hunting. And so, like I said, it was a shared thing that between them, I guess, kind of like a bonding thing. And I think that was the start of it, I guess. But then as he got more items, I guess you could call them, he got more interested in it. And to the point where when I was there for that 5-week period, he was just involved with his gun a lot. Like, he would clean it all the time, and he was always asking his dad to take him to the shooting range and that sort of thing. He definitely had an obvious interest in guns.
When you say he was cleaning it all the time, where did did Colt have his own rifle?
Yeah, the rifle that his dad bought him for Christmas, that Christmas.
And where did he keep it, Colt? Where did Colt keep it?
When I was there, it was generally in his bedroom.
Do you remember where in his bedroom?
I really didn't go in his bedroom, but I mean, he didn't have anywhere really to set it, so I guess it was like leaned up against the wall, or when he would clean it, he would sit at his desk, because I could walk down the hall and look in and see that he was cleaning it.
So I want to turn your attention to August 15th of 2024. Did you and Colt have a physical altercation over the gun that day?
Yes.
Or I guess regarding the gun. Can you tell me about that?
So I was initially just trying to talk to him about the gun. I wanted him to just put it away because he had been carrying it around, and he didn't want to hear it, and so he was walking away from me, and he walked into his bedroom, and I was walking behind him, and I stopped at his doorway because I wasn't going to follow him into his bedroom, and I said, "Just give me the gun. I'm going to put it up." And I was standing right behind him, and he said, "Get out of my room." And I said, "I'm not in your room, Colt. Just let me have the gun. I'm going to put it up for a little while." And he turned around, and just kind of in one big sweeping motion, kind of hit me with his arm/gun. But he hit me very hard enough that it knocked me backwards across the hall. And there's a bathroom directly across from his bedroom in the hall. And he knocked me into that door frame. I ended up hitting my head on the door frame, and basically fell to the floor because I hit it really hard. And I laid there for a couple minutes, and then ended up getting up and just going back to the bedroom, to Colin's bedroom, and laying down.
I'm going to show you a picture, and go ahead. It's from State's Exhibit 158, which is Colt's cell phone extraction, and we're going to display that for the jury. Can you tell us what that is a picture of?
That's me after I fell to the ground and I was just laying there with my hands over my head and over my eyes before I got up to go lay down.
When you went to lay down, or after that, did you call the defendant and tell him what happened?
I don't think so. I didn't talk to him about it really at all.
Okay. Did you, at some point, did you leave Bexar County kind of close in time to that fight?
Yes, I did.
Tell us what prompted you leaving.
There was a number of reasons. Over the 5 weeks that I was there, my anxiety had started going up, like I knew it would. And that's why I'm not planning on staying there long term. And so it was getting to a point where, I had the kids enrolled in school, insurance was set up, and I really needed to find myself somewhere else to live that was not with Colin. And I felt like I could get it done better and faster if I was not in that house with him. So I called my parents and asked them to come get me, which they did. I just felt like it was to a point where I felt like things were okay, so they were settled. At least I had the kids seeing outside adults at that point. And I had planned on coming back in a relatively short amount of time to make sure, A, Colt went to see someone, and B, just to see my kids again.
So, kind of summarize, August 16th, the next day after the fight, you go home. Mm-hmm. Before you go home, what do you do with the Zoloft?
So before I left, I had taken a certain quantity of my Zoloft, and it required me to break the tablets in half and then in half again for the dose to be small enough. So I took a bunch and went ahead and broke them down so that Colin wouldn't have to worry with that. And then on our way out of town, we stopped by his workplace, his work job site.
And by his, again, do you mean the defendant?
Colin's. And I had it in a Ziploc bag, and I gave it to him.
Okay. Close in time to this fight, did you have any discussions with the defendant about storing or securing the rifle that was in Colt's room?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
This actually came up multiple times, and ultimately I asked him if he would just take the guns and put them in his truck, because the large gun safe that we had always had when we were married, or for most of our marriage, was not there anymore. And he kept saying, "Well, they're in the top of my closet." And I said, "That's not good enough. You might as well say, well, they're under my bed. They need to be locked somewhere." And so I thought the best answer, without him having to go out and spend money on a new gun safe, was to lock them in his truck. And initially he said he would.
Okay. And circling back to Colt's anxiety issues, earlier you mentioned that you wanted to get him into an inpatient treatment place. At this time, I'm going to display some text messages between you and the defendant from State's Exhibit 156 from August 21st of 2024.
No objection, Judge.
All right, and we're going to bring up that second text message. Okay, so it says it's from My Pretty. Was that what Colin called you?
He called me pretty girl.
Okay. And then on August 21st at 4:38 p.m., you texted him, "This is what Colt needs right now. They take our insurance and we will go there until he is stabilized and they figure out a treatment plan." And then the next message. This is where you sent the defendant the website for Advantage Behavioral Health Systems Crisis Stabilization. And that was at that same time of 4:38. And then you said, "I tried to send it to Colt, but I guess he's blocked my number now." And that was at 4:44. So was there a time period you weren't able to talk to Colt while?
It was very short, like maybe a couple days.
Okay.
But I did end up sending that link to him, and we talked about it a good bit. And he was, like I said, he was excited about it.
And we'll get to, I think, those text messages in a minute, but on August 21st, when you sent that to the defendant, was that the inpatient treatment place you wanted to get Colt into?
Yes,
And where was it located?
in Athens.
Okay. Okay. And when you sent that to the defendant, did he ever respond or follow up with anything related to that?
No.
Okay. When did you plan on taking Colt to Advantage Behavioral?
So initially, I tried to set up several different times, but my mom had gone up and she was going to go with Coley to take Colt, but she ended up breaking her hand and had to come home. So I think that was on like a Wednesday or Thursday. Well, that Saturday, the defendant and I had been planning all week for me to come up to visit the kids, and primarily on that Saturday to take Colt to Advantage Behavioral in Athens. We had been talking about it really ever since I left. We had planned on doing some fun stuff, with the kids. And my mom and I had called Advantage Behavioral, talked to them to find out, as far as intake of patients, what we needed to do, who needed to be there. And so everything was ready. And then...
And we'll get to that. I got a few
Sure.
more things before.
Sorry.
So the plan was August 31st, that Saturday. And you mentioned that your mom came up that week. Did something happen at school that week that prompted your mom driving up there and y'all kind of wanting this to happen?
My mom had a conversation with Colt about, I think, having a panic attack at school. for me, I mean, the urgency had always been there. I won't say that anything specific happened to make it more important. But you know, when she broke her hand and had to come home, I was expecting before she came home, I was expecting Colt to have gone somewhere, or be somewhere getting help. And so when she came home and wasn't able to do that, I'd say my urgency as far as getting up there Saturday to take him somewhere, it went up at that point for sure.
Okay. So on August 26th, I'm going to display some text messages between you and Colt from State's Exhibit 159, which is your cell phone extraction.
Any issues, Mr. Holmes?
Judge, we will just object to the messages that are from Colt as hearsay.
And I believe, I don't know which ones he's talking about, but a lot of the text messages are related to his mental health and would come in under the then existing mental and impression.
I see.
I can't remember the exact wording of it, but that hearsay exception.
Can I see?
Oh, yes.